Thanks, everybody, and welcome for joining our webinar today. Pinnacle, as you know, has created a series of webinars that vary from an introduction of our company, outlines and details regarding design of optimized networks, as well as the top 3 ways that companies can lower operating costs in their businesses today. We're not planning to dazzle you with graphics, but again, more communicate our strategies and ideas and how they may relate to your businesses. We only have a few slides to show you today, and again, this is a discussion about our approach and the potential opportunity for your business. Now, many customers come to us and ask us for ways in which they can help improve their internet, and everybody has their own unique challenges as it relates to that. Looking to improve performance and speeds, as well as access to key applications, or even to address gaps in delivery of things like voice over IP, is a common problem. Most of the demand comes from end users who notice a slowdown in their ability to access information and applications as compared to services that they may have access to at home, on their cell phones, or even from a previous workplace. Performance demands and expectations are continuing to increase, and without limitless bandwidth and/or budget, it's really important to understand the need to design the right solution for your business. Now, when we're talking about creating the right design, the considerations that we think you need to be aware of are, number 1, what are your bandwidth requirements? Not only for things that you would normally think about like email and browsing, but what about things like cloud-based applications, social media, Wi-Fi, as well as inter-office and wide area network traffic. You also need to consider your location. What address are you at, and what services are available? To be able to understand the optional suppliers that are available to you, and also be able to determine what is the right design, whether it be a single carrier or multiple carrier strategy through an aggregated network. Now, one of the things that we talked about earlier was cloud-based applications, and many organizations are looking at outside or third-party providers to access key applications that they believe provide a more cost-effective and efficient strategy. And while that very well might be the case, sometimes that's not true. That type of oversight can be very costly for companies. Now, these different services include things like online backup and recovery, customer relationship management software, hosted products like voice over IP, as well as hosted desktop, marketing solutions, web hosting, web design, as well as search engine optimization. And understanding the total cost impact and total cost of ownership, or in this case, total cost of service, is really key in helping you make the right decision for your organization. So what are the right questions to ask, and how does that compare to leasing or owning a similar on-premise based strategy? Aside from the cost of service, what are the bandwidth requirements? And if I'm layering new applications on top of my current internet access, is there a potential for either contention for bandwidth or a lot of additional cost as it relates to transport of data and seeding applications like you have to do with online backup and recovery solutions? And if that's not taken into consideration, and with many versions of internet access that limit transport, the cost and performance implications could be significant. Now, these applications usually have a significant upload requirement to seed the data and information, and download requirements to share and view common data. Both options have their advantages and disadvantages whether you're looking at cloud-based or on-premise, and we happen to use and sell both types of services. The reality is no one strategy fits the needs of all customers, and we have the ability to help you assess those needs and requirements. But as it relates to creating the right design for internet, understanding those particular applications and what performance you need is a key factor. In addition to that, social media plays more and more of a key role. Now, we believe that social media is an excellent marketing tool for organizations, as well as a main means of connecting people and organizations. It continues to take on a greater and greater role in our daily lives and communication strategies. In many respects, we've never been more accessible to so many people at one time, and if not managed correctly, we've never been more distracted and absorbed. But that need to communicate in today's world potentially has a significant bandwidth requirement. And the majority of the communication that would happen through social media has download requirements on your internet. And as you start to share your own media, whether it be videos or music or whatever, it has a requirement for upload capability. So managed effectively, it can be a great tool to expand market share. It can be a great tool to reach new customers and share company messages and offers. And in fact, think about companies like Expedia, who use Facebook as a great tool to reach customers, to target high-value prospects, and to expand its brand. And think a little bit about things like Twitter and how individuals and companies can create a following, can share ideas, and if done properly, can help create a better brand and image. So how do you best incorporate social media into your organization is another discussion. But we need to make sure that we understand how that impacts the build and design and creating the right design from an internet perspective. The other thing that you need to consider is the move from decentralized to central services. For things like inter-office, Wi-Fi, and wide area networks, more and more as bandwidth prices have decreased, the ability to centralize key data and information continues to become more and more cost effective. That ability then to lower operating costs and create access to capital makes the investments needed in technology and network services more attainable. So it's here as a systems and solutions integrator that we can play a key role. In understanding cloud-based applications and social media, as well as inter-office and wide area network, we can help you create the right design. In addition to that, we need to consider where you're located, because the reality is each customer has a different opportunity as it relates to internet access. For customers that are in a downtown core, that quest is fairly straightforward. There's many options and prices. There is also always a large number of potential providers, which equates to more competitive pricing. The fact is that service organizations like Bell, Rogers, and TELUS, as well as many other local and regional providers, continue to build out their own infrastructure so that they can provide services directly to customers instead of having to partner, a term that the industry uses as on-net. In doing that, they're less reliant on core providers like Bell in the East and TELUS in the West to give them better control, management, and ultimately cost. That being said, many companies have offices outside of those downtown core areas, and they have regional offices or maybe even their key office in urban areas or other parts of the country and world. It's in these cases that the big players get less and less competitive. And as they try to deliver services outside of their network, where they partner, which we refer to as off-net, and they partner with other organizations, they still try to maintain the same margins. And in doing so, they have a higher cost of delivery of services to deliver a multiple site strategy. Or if they want to retain a customer or acquire a customer in an area that's off-net, it can mean higher prices. So what we're able to do is, like carriers that partner where they're not on-net, we have the ability to buy wholesale from our partners, which are all of the big regional, local, and national players, and we have the ability to pass that pricing on to our customers, because we believe getting the best service at the best price is what's unique about Pinnacle. We don't have the same demands for high margins on each individual piece of business that the carriers do, and in fact, our model is based on creating a total solution with higher customer retention for a longer period of time. So if you can get a single source solution at the best price, that's a great strategy. But that's not always available for all customers. So what is network aggregation? Here's an area that we further excel. Not only can we take a single source provider and deliver the best possible price, looking at all the possible options, but we have the ability in areas where there isn't a single source provider solution that can deliver the necessary bandwidth and performance of aggregating or bonding network services to deliver that high-speed strategy at the right price. So being able to use unique technologies, we can take standard products and create a diverse network strategy that boosts performance and lower costs. So the same service that might cost you $1,000 for fiber, let's say, and potentially with a high build cost, might cost half that amount with Pinnacle through an aggregation strategy. And while that might not always be advantageous when there is a good single source provider at the right price, in locations where that single source strategy or the right price isn't available, we can take together the available services that are there, we can bond them together and create an access strategy that's faster and more reliable. In addition, can prioritize key applications so performance and quality are assured. Now, when is aggregation the right strategy for your business? Again, when a single carrier cannot deliver the right bandwidth and performance or the right price, aggregation provides an option. And by taking the available network services that are in your location, just like pieces in a puzzle, you can create a more complete solution delivering performance and bandwidth at the right price. And we can help you determine what a single source solution would cost as well as an aggregated strategy. Now, the key to differentiation for our organization really comes down to two things. The first is understanding, and the second is knowledge. The more that we understand how you operate, the more that we understand what you're trying to do, understanding and knowledge equals smart design. And we want to work with your organization to understand how you utilize internet access, the types of products and services that you use and require, to determine the overall bandwidth requirements and performance that you need, and to deliver the right solution. Because ultimately, Pinnacle IP Solutions strives to be a business partner and not a provider to our customers. You know, we believe that we're not trying to do anything radical. We don't have any radical change or ideas. In fact, we have a very simplistic and straightforward approach that most executives that we talk to understand and appreciate. We look at your needs and requirements. We look at the available options. We act as a network and services integrator, a network and services solution provider, as well as a consulting firm, and we help both design the right strategy as well as execute and support that. In doing so, we're able to understand and optimize the different network strategies available to you. And in this particular case, where we're looking at something like internet access, we understand how it is that we can introduce new technologies and applications to improve performance and ultimately to lower costs. Now, when we talk about, how effective we've been in the marketplace, there's two things that we look at. One is the relationship that we have with our customers, and the second is the solution that we've been able to provide. Now, most of our customers, and in fact, it's almost 85%, have referred us to another customer or their partner, and we've been able to earn that customer's trust and respect, and then we enjoy them as a customer today. So we do that by understanding the unique needs of each customer and delivering solutions that for them are effective, whether it be to address a company that doesn't have access to internet or the right type of internet through a single source solution or a single source provider and delivering network aggregation, or whether it be looking at the different providers that are available and delivering better performance at a better price. We continue to work on our customers' behalf to deliver the right solution in each case. And more what we see is that our customers come to us and say, we appreciate the relationship that we have, and we do view you as a partner and not a provider. One of the things that we want to talk a little bit about is specific needs of individuals. So we've got a number of different people that are on the line today, and I want to reach out and answer a couple of questions that you have. So the first one that I see through the chat feature is John. And John's saying that he happens to be in a rural area, which is actually Georgetown, and he's had a real challenge in delivering high-speed internet. They've been looking at some different cloud-based applications that they'd like to consider, and unfortunately, they have not been able to deliver a high-speed strategy. So John, similar to what we talked about before is, when is aggregation right for you? Well, if you've gone to market and you've looked at the different services that are available, right? Can you elaborate on, some of the services that you've looked at? Okay, so you've got a Bell DSL available to you. There's a cable DSL available to you. There's some different wireless options that are available through Terrago Networks. Okay, and there's a couple smaller providers that you believe probably offer services through those same companies, just repackaging. Okay, so let's take a look, let's say, at Bell DSL. Bell DSL talks about delivering a 6 by 1 or 6 megabytes download by 1 megabyte upload. The cable DSL in your area can deliver speeds of 10 megabytes download and 2 megabytes upload. The wireless has a bunch of different flavors, anywhere from E5 to E10, and the smaller providers are similar in the 6 by 1 strategy. Okay, so based on your needs and requirements, you're talking about wanting to be able to deliver a 5 megabyte strategy upload and download, okay? And different costing that you've been looking at has been somewhere in the neighborhood of around $600 to $700. Okay, well, if you took, let's say, a Bell DSL, and you had a 6 by 1 service, so 6 megabytes download and 1 megabyte upload, and you combined that with a cable DSL, which gives you 10 megabytes by 2 megabytes, and then you took another cable DSL, which is 10 by 2, you're going to be taking 6 by 1, 10 by 2, and 10 by 2. And like this particular document that says 6 by 6 by 6 equals 30, we basically got 6 by 10 by 10 on the download, which is 26, and you happen to have 1 by 2 by 2, which is 5 on the upload. So if you're looking to deliver 5 megabytes on the upload, then this service would actually deliver 26 megabytes download and 5 megabytes upload uncompressed. And there are certain things that you use bandwidth for that could be compressed, and that's where the 6 by 6 by 6 equals 30. You have the capability to actually, through compression, further enhance performance. So if you're talking about trying to deliver a solution that you could deliver for $600-700 today for a 5 megabyte upload and download, this service that I'm talking about, which would deliver 26 megabytes download by 5 megabytes upload, the cost of that would be less, and it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of about $400 to $500. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. All right, we have another question now from Gary, and Gary is asking about trying to improve a fiber that he had put in place. So he delivered a fiber which was 10 megabytes up and download, and he's talking about a high build cost. It cost $8,000 to build the fiber to his area. Now he's maxed out that fiber, and he's being told that if he wants to go the next level, he has to put in 100 megabyte access, and then he has the capability to go beyond his 10 megabytes that he has today. So just to let you understand what that is, and most people will get this anyways, but a 10 megabyte access gives you the ability to have up to 10 megabytes of internet. And in this particular case where he's got 10 megabytes access and it's fully populated and is at 10 megabytes, he's obviously got that full capacity. So in order to go to, let's say, 20 megabytes, he has to increase the access beyond 10 megabytes, which is that 100 megabytes. And again, he's talking about a build cost that's required, as well as what would appear to be very costly services. So not unlike the one that I just mentioned, where we have different services, you can actually layer on top of your fiber a service that might have high download capacity. So if, let's say, you took a 10 megabyte by 2 megabyte cable service, and you took 2 times that, you could deliver 20 by 4 on top of your 10 by 10, which means you could actually deliver a service to site of roughly 30 by 14, so 30 megabytes download by 14 megabytes upload. A 50% improvement from what you have today on upload capacity, and 3 times or a 300% improvement on download. Now, what would that cost for you to deliver that service in aggregation? Probably about an additional $300-400. So today, if you have your fiber, which is your 10 megabyte fiber, you're probably paying somewhere in the neighborhood of about $1,100. And if you were to add and beef that up by 300% on your download and 50% on your upload, you're looking at an incremental cost of what you have today between $300 and $400. So significantly better than what you're looking at today. Okay? And last question. This actually gets back to one of the early things that we were talking about, not necessarily about internet and access, but bandwidth contention. And it was saying, basically, it's Jill, who is a director of IT for a insurance firm. Okay, And what she's talked about is that in her particular organization, a lot of their users actually have cell phones, and they recently incorporated a Wi-Fi service in their building, and users are coming into the building with their cell devices, and that has zapped their bandwidth. So what type of things can they do and consider as it relates to that? Well, there's a lot of different things that you can do, and that's a loaded question, and in fact, probably a question for another time. But it is a very good point to bring up, which is that as people bring smart devices into the workplace and bring their own devices into the workplace, there's a lot of things they use those devices for. Streaming music with things like FaceTime and now the BlackBerry Messenger video. They're doing video communications. They're also downloading video, and they're using it for social media. So it can actually have a lot of repercussions as it relates to availability and contention for bandwidth. And there are things that you can do with the right type of router that you can limit specific access, and you can create and design the network so that your own work tools and work requirements take priority over, let's say, Wi-Fi devices. And a lot of people use Wi-Fi on their personal devices to do things that they would like to do that maybe aren't appropriate on a corporate network, and things like FaceTime and Facebook and other things. So making sure that you've got the right tools in place to be able to monitor, measure, and manage not only corporate but BYOD devices is a key feature and a key aspect of design today. Okay, so that's it for the initial questions. What I'd like to do is really thank everybody for joining the webinar today. This is just a quick webinar on some of the things that you need to consider as it relates to building out the right internet access and the right design for your organization, taking into considerations the things that contend for bandwidth, things like cloud-based applications, social media, Wi-Fi, wide area networks, as well as inter-office traffic. Being aware of where you're located and the options that are available, and potentially when you don't have a variety of choices, looking at not only a single source provider but multi-source through bonding and aggregation to deliver better performance at a better price. And then finally, being able to not only design but manage the right solution so that you continue to optimize what you have and deliver the best performance to your own organization, making sure that end users, which are your employees, have access to the right tools to make them more effective and more efficient, and ultimately getting the right price from the right partner. And that's an area that we believe that Pinnacle can really excel for your organization. We have a number of different webinars that we do on a weekly basis, and some of the future webinars that we've got coming up are listed here on the page. We hope you consider using Pinnacle not only as a supplier, but also as a source of information as you look to continue to fine-tune and improve the relationship that you have within your organization, as well as the services that you provide to your key employees and customers. Thanks for joining us today. We do appreciate your time and look forward to talking to you next week.